Hello, this is Brad Lewis with Premier Marketing, and I wanted to welcome you to today's call. Appreciate everybody taking time out of their busy day to join us for a great presentation and some exciting news from FG Life. FG Life is one of our key partners in the annuity segment of our business here at Premier. And they have some wonderful products out there, as well as some great accumulation strategies that they have that really are leading the industry. Today with us, we have Adam Greiner. Adam is the Senior Internal Wholesaler at FG Life, and he's going to take us through today's presentation. If you do have some questions throughout the presentation, please chat them into the box, into the chat question box, and we will address them at the end of the call. So again, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day and turn it over to Adam.
Awesome, perfect. Appreciate that introduction, Brad, and thank you for the opportunity to come on and speak to the group. And yeah, I would just start by echoing Brad's comments there. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your morning here to hop on the call with us. I think it'll be valuable. I would anticipate we have probably a couple of different types of people on the call. We probably have some that haven't been exposed to our story here at F&G and some of the things that we have and can bring to the table. We maybe have some that at one point had done business with us in some capacity, but maybe haven't heard what we're able to provide to the marketplace currently. And then I would anticipate we likely have some that are currently doing business with us and just felt like it'd be appropriate to hop on and get a refresher. So regardless of where you're at and that scheme, I feel like today will be valuable for you, and you should have some good takeaways to come out of the call, circle back with the team there at Premier, talk about strategies and how we can continue to implement solutions and help you all grow your practices. So once again, my name is Adam Greiner. I do work as a senior internal wholesaler with our annuity sales team here at F&G. A little bit, just a quick commercial background on myself. I've been in the annuity distribution industry, if you will, the annuity industry, for a little over 3 years in a wholesale capacity for the scope of that time frame. Prior to that, I worked in banking at a local bank. I'm based out of Des Moines, Iowa here, which is where our home office is. So I worked for a community bank here out of college for a number of years to start my career, and then decided that working at the client level maybe just wasn't where my skill set was best suited or where I enjoyed spending the most of my time. So yeah, in my role here with F&G today, I spend my day to day working with advisors and agents like you all on the call, helping them grow their practices, talk about how we can implement the solutions, and ultimately provide the protection and growth for the clients that we'll spend some time on here today. So again, I appreciate you all taking time out of your busy schedules to hop on the call. And with that, I want to be respectful of time. We'll just hop right into it. So I want to sort of set the stage for sort of the top 3 F&G storylines. For those of you that have talked to me in the past or talked with me, I do quite a bit of talking in threes for whatever reason, but right now F&G, I think I couldn't personally be more excited about where F&G is positioned as a company. For those of you that may not know, F&G went through an ownership structure change back in late 2017. That ownership structure change yielded us a tremendous opportunity and a strategic partnership with Blackstone, one of the world's leading alternative asset managers in the marketplace. And I'll talk a little bit more about that strategic partnership and what it has meant to us as a company. But along with that strategic partnership, the new ownership structure also yielded us an upgrade in ratings by AM Best, the rating agency. We always felt as an insurance company that we carried the financials. In fact, we had the numbers to support the fact that we carried the financials as an insurance company to be rated as an A- or better rated insurance company. But our previous ownership structure was sort of a limiting factor for us. So once again that change took place in 2017, less than 12 months, which is pretty rare for agencies to make changes, we had the A- rating. So again, that just sort of spoke to our previous confidence that we had the financials that supported it. And once we got our ownership structure in a better place. It allowed for the increased ratings there. So brief little commercial. Again, I'm going to circle back and talk a little bit more about that strategic partnership with Blackstone and what that could mean for you guys as agents and advisors, and more specifically your clients. Another leading story where we're talking a lot and spending a lot of our time is with our exclusive relationship with Barclays and their index, the Trailblazer Sectors 5. This is an index that we have exclusive access to be able to implement into our indexed annuity solutions. I'll talk about how we're partnering with them and the strong performance of that index to pair that into your indexed annuity solutions that provide that principal protection to create a very dynamic, powerful story that you could take to your clients into the field. Lastly, we take a lot of pride here at F&G about partnering with power producers, or those producers in the field that choose to partner with us in a meaningful way. We offer some additional programs and incentives that sort of separate us from our peers in the industry, that we, again, as an opportunity to say thank you, and as a way to reward those agents in the field that carry our story, carry our torch and our products to the marketplace. We have a couple different programs in place for that, and one of them is a deferred compensation program, as well as an annual incentive trip for some of our, again, producers that partner with us in a meaningful way. So I'll conclude our time here this morning and talk about those two programs and how you all can take advantage of those. So here, I had on my slide the new and improved F&G, or the new F&G, and what that means here. So as I mentioned, the strategic partnership with Blackstone, again, one of the world's leading alternative asset managers, with just under $550 billion in assets under management. When I say strategic partnership, what does that mean? So Blackstone has a 20% ownership stake in F&G, and because of that vested interest, they have also taken over the management of our general account, or of our investment portfolio. So what does that mean to you and your clients? Why is that important? So the reason that's so important is because of the scope and the size of Blackstone. They have access to deals and investment opportunities that we, as a $30 billion insurance company, would have never even seen, or certainly been first to the table at. So long story short, I think the ultimate takeaway here is that based on the fact that they have partnered with us in that strategic partnership, managing our investment portfolio has yielded us increased yield on our investment portfolio, and they're doing it at a below market cost, which also, again, puts back into the portfolio, meaning that we can bring a more competitive solution to the clients and have the confidence that we're going to be able to provide sustainability for the longevity of that product. I also already mentioned the AM Best upgrade to the A- or excellent rating. Again, giving that client the confidence that they could trust F&G with their money. Okay, so sort of setting the stage with F&G and where we're at as a company, why we have never felt like we were in a better position as a company from a corporate ownership standpoint. Now let's talk about some of the different solutions. Where is F&G having success? We take a lot of pride in knowing that clients that you're working with have a variety of different client needs, right? Some of them are looking for just principally protected growth. Some of them may be looking for some type of lifetime income withdrawal benefit. And so we have built out a pretty robust portfolio of indexed annuity solutions to sort of specialize or fit the variety of client needs that you may be working on or looking to solve. And so we've sort of segmented them into three different categories here. So we have your principally protected growth category, or that accumulation only type of products. You have your performance-driven income or death benefit products. Over the last 5 to 10 years, as many of you know, we've seen significant growth and a very nice run from an overall market perspective. So there's been a lot more demand recently from the consumers to say, hey, can I participate in that and leverage that growth into a lifetime income withdrawal benefit? And the answer is yes, and we have some pretty powerful solutions to solve that need. And then as more of your traditional indexed annuity solutions, you have your guaranteed income or death benefit. So those are solutions that are focused around clients that maybe have a particular asset that they don't need to, or they don't have the opportunity to, or the flexibility to risk or think about what they could potentially get from an indexed linked strategy growth perspective. They need to know exactly down to the penny how much income they're going to get off of this particular asset. So we call that, your guaranteed income or a guaranteed death benefit legacy type of product. And we bring some solutions to the table for that. So out of respect for the time here this morning, rather than going through each and every one, what Brad and I thought would be most helpful for you all is to pick one out of each of the different categories here. So we'll talk through our top 3 selling indexed annuity solutions. They just so happen to be one from each category here. We'll talk about the AccumulatorPlus out of the accumulation only. We'll talk about the AccumulatorPlus to piggyback off of that accumulation into an income benefit for the client. And then we'll talk about Safe Income Plus, which is a leading index annuity solutions in that guaranteed income space. Okay, so with AccumulatorPlus, this is a leading accumulation vehicle, FIA, in the marketplace today that Brad mentioned as he opened up the call that we're having just a tremendous amount of traction and success with in the field. It's a 7 or 10 year FIA, so it comes on 2 different durations or surrender schedules. Why are we having success with it? Well, first of all, we're providing a tremendous amount of flexibility for the clients. Flexibility can be 2 different ways. So we have your traditional S&P crediting strategy options. We also offer an alternative to that, as I mentioned, with the Barclays Trailblazer Sectors 5 Index and some high participation in the growth of that indice. In addition to having multiple different indexes or benchmarks for the clients to be able to pick from to get their gains, we also allow them to choose whether they want to be more aggressive or to choose a no-fee type of approach. And they have the option, if they want to be a little bit more aggressive, to pay a fee and buy up their rate. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Also, when you look at your principally protected growth solutions, and as a retirement type of conservative investment vehicle, a big concern or a big need is liquidity, right? What happens if I have a health challenge and something pops up and I need access to this money? Is the insurance company that I'm partnering with or trusting with my money going to help me out in those circumstances? And the answer for us is yes. So we have waivers for liquidity on these accumulation only FIAs for home health care. So it's becoming more and more popular for people that want to stay in their homes and just get some assisted care in their homes. And that's fine. With our home health care waiver, the client becomes unable to perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. They would qualify to get whatever amount of premium out of the contract, penalty, and surrender charge free. We also have your more traditional waivers for terminal illness and nursing home. But again, that home health care is definitely something that is becoming more and more popular and something that's not offered on I would say the majority of indexed annuity solutions in the marketplace today. So why is AccumulatorPlus as an FIA having success? Why are these pure growth FIAs having success? Well, as many of you likely know or and are experiencing, we're in a low interest rate environment, right? Clients are going to banks, getting low interest rates on their CDs. The bond market has been a little volatile, interest rate environment coming down there. So where can they go to get some principally protected growth? And that's our AccumulatorPlus FIA. So more specifically, as I mentioned, we have your traditional S&P strategies, but where we're seeing the most traction is with our strategy that's linked to the Barclays Trailblazer Sectors 5 Index. And I'll talk about what makes up that index and a little bit about the methodology here in a moment. But specifically with the 10-year AccumulatorPlus, one reason why it's a shining accumulation vehicle is we're able to offer the client for no fee 140% participation in the growth of that index over a 2-year time frame. So it's a 2-year point-to-point, and we're going to let the client participate in 140% of the upside while having total downside protection. Now, some may ask, some of you that are used to writing FIAs, well, that's 140% is great for the first 2 years, but what happens after that? It's a 10-year contract. Is F&G going to, hurt my client with that participation rate, dropping it down? Well, we're proud to say that that participation rate is contractually guaranteed to never drop below 100%. Agreement with Barclays and having that exclusivity to the Trailblazer Sectors 5 index. That 140% participation is also with no cap and no spread, as it says there on the screen. Index fees, I mentioned we have the potential buy-up strategy. So if the client does want to be a little bit more aggressive, for example, on the 10-year duration, they could buy up the rate for a 1.25% fee and get 160% participation. I'll talk about the difference in accumulation potential if they want to evaluate whether that buy-up approach, that more aggressive approach, could make sense for them. So the Barclays Trailblazer Sectors 5 on the performance. How is the Trailblazer Sectors 5 performing? Well, we're happy to say it's a leading alternative index in the marketplace today. 2019 returns as of the end of last week. We get a weekly update on that. It's 13.74. So 2019, 13.74 year-to-date return. But I think almost as crucially, and what I spend a lot of my time talking about, is that 2-year return number that you see on the screen at 11.91%. Why is that important? Well, because it's a 2-year strategy. We started offering this index within our solutions back in 2017. So that means that we actually have clients that are coming to their 2-year anniversaries now, and the return during that time frame is 11.91%. So if you take that 11.91%, let's say their par rate was that 140% that we're able to offer today, you get a 16.67% return. Obviously, it's a 2-year strategy. So if you're doing the math in your head on an annualized basis, the client would have gotten over an 8% return, and clients are getting over an 8% return within a vehicle that they have total downside protection. I think traditionally, it's fair to say your indexed annuity solutions, reasonable expectation for returns is in that 4 to 6%. And we have complete confidence that we're going to be able to deliver that. And again, we're already seeing that we're exceeding those expectations as it stands today. So just a quick peek under the hood, what is the Barclays Trailblazer Sectors 5 index? Here's a look at the underlying assets. As the name would suggest, sectors. We're taking the sectors of the S&P 500. So the equity components of the index are your sectors of the S&P 500, the now 11 sectors of the S&P 500. What does the 5 mean? The 5 means it's being controlled to a target volatility of 5%. So how are we controlling volatility? Well, Barclays is managing the index, and they're going to, on a daily basis, take a look at the total allocation between all these different components of the index, and they're going to maximize return while managing to that target volatility of 5%. How do they do that? Well, in addition to the equity components, they have some bond components in there. You see U.S. high yield, long duration T-bonds, mortgage-backed securities, and then should the market be extremely volatile, they do have a cash component that they can allocate to as well. So we're letting Barclays do the work, right? Very well-known, reputable bank, long track record of mitigating risks for some very large institutional clients. We're putting them to work for us because of that volatility control. We know how to price the product accordingly, and that's why we're able to offer those high participation rates in the index. So I talked a little bit about the performance and what we're actually seeing. Another thing that we can use during the solicitation process, as many of you know, as an illustration to back test based on historical performance. And the Trailblazer Index shows well in that area as well. So over the last 10 years, we would have been looking at an average annualized return of 7.48 or just under 7.5%. What I like to point out is the consistency. We show multiple 10-year snapshots here. So the worst 10-year window, dating as far back as we can test the index and this rules-based approach that the Barclays is following is to 2003. So the worst 10-year window dating back to 2003 is from 2005 to 2015. And you see there in the middle section, the annualized return during that worst case scenario was 6.36. We also always show the best 10 years. That just happened to be, no coincidence, from 07 to 2017. Annualized return during that time would be 8.44%. So regardless of whether we look at last year, worst case 10 years, best case 10 years, there's consistency across those. You see we go from 6.36 to 8.44, again, yielding us that confidence that we're going to be able to deliver in that 4 to 6% targeted return for these types of annuity products. So sort of a high-level recap, AccumulatorPlus, again, clients that are looking for that principally protected growth. We offer the strategy that's linked to the Barclays Trailblazer. As I mentioned, we still have your traditional S&P annual point-to-point caps. We have a participation rate linked to the S&P. Clients have the flexibility to allocate between any of them at whatever percentage makes sense for them. A popular strategy that I've been using with some of my top advisors is, hey, Adam, this is a 2-year strategy. My clients, they're used to those bank CDs. They really want an average annualized return. The Barclays, that's a 2-year strategy. So that means that first year they're coming up with a 0, and every other year they're coming up with a 0 there. Is there something that we can do to, we really like the Barclays and we really want to be fully allocated to that? How can we take advantage? Well, we can implement what I call the leapfrog approach, or a laddering. So you can do it one of two ways. You can do, for example, a 50% allocation to the uncapped strategy with Barclays and the 2-year strategy. And then let's say let's do an S&P cap for 50%. Now you can either keep that exposure and you come to your first year renewal. The client can either stay in that S&P strategy to, again, continue to have the opportunity for that annualized return that they may be looking for. Or, again, if we do want to take fully advantage of the Barclays Trailblazer strategy, after that first year anniversary, we can then pivot and shift the remaining 50% to that Barclays strategy. And now we have 50% all in that uncapped crediting strategy and opportunity, but it's coming due every other year, again, providing that client with the opportunity for the annual returns that may be desired. So again, I mentioned the aggressive growth strategy. They could choose to pay a fee, buy up that par rate to 160%. So what I get asked a lot is, Adam, historically, does that pay off? And the answer to that, when you run the illustration, is yes. Historically, if they choose to buy up the rate over the last 10 years, that annualized return would jump up to 7.92%. But again, we're not forcing them. We're just giving them the option to, if they want to keep it as a no fee, just principally protected growth, 140% par rate, as you saw on the last slide on the illustration, 7.48% annualized return. Pretty strong. Last bullet there on the slide says RMDs. A lot of advisors that I work with come to me and say, hey, Adam, I've got this client. They're taking, their main objective is a legacy transfer to their beneficiary, but it's an IRA asset. They're now 70 and a half, and of course the IRS is forcing them to take distributions. So if they're in, something that's not able to offer as strong of a interest rate return, like a bank CD, for example, maybe they can get it at 2% now. Their RMD percentage is likely going to exceed that. So it's going to be eating away at their principal. Well, we can take that same conservative investment, put it into the indexed annuity solution here. And because we're able to provide the higher returns or opportunity for returns, we believe that we can not only keep up with those RMD percentages, but even exceed them to not only protect the principal, but to grow it for that legacy play. We have the ability within our illustration software to illustrate RMDs for the clients, so they can see how those RMDs coming out, what their balances would potentially look like based on that historical performance. That's been a pretty strong sales strategy as well. Okay, so that's a recap of the accumulation vehicle, the AccumulatorPlus 7 or 10. So as I mentioned, over the past 4 or 5 years, again, as we've had the tremendous market growth, clients have been using products like the AccumulatorPlus. But there is still a need for that income withdrawal benefit, providing them with a lifetime income that they can't outlive. So you've seen products that have come out to say, hey, this is the accumulation, and now we can piggyback that into an income withdrawal benefit. And that's exactly what we've done with what I call the sister product to Accumulator, and that's the AccumulatorPlus. So again, our primary objective is accumulation, but then we're going to take that accumulation and provide the opportunity for an income withdrawal benefit for the client as well. AccumulatorPlus comes on two different chassis or durations, 10 and 14 year. We do have an account value bonus on the AccumulatorPlus of 6 and 7% respectively. We have those same flexible crediting options, not only with the S&P and the Barclays strategy. We still have the fee and no fee, or the buy-up strategy approach if they want. The income withdrawal benefit on this product is a performance multiplier. So we're multiplying off of the growth to the account value. And I'll talk a little bit more about the mechanics to that. What's the cost associated with it, right? 90 basis points annualized, or an annual fee for the income withdrawal benefit. In comparison, most income riders that I come across in the marketplace are 1% or better. And I think, definitely favorable there that we're under that 1% benchmark. Has that same liquidity waivers for home health care, terminal illness, nursing home. And then our income withdrawal benefit also has an impairment enhancement or income doubler that I'll talk a little bit more about, how when a client has some health challenges, becomes unable to perform 2 of 6 activities of daily living, we can increase their income. So who is the ideal client for this type of solution? The client that's looking for flexibility. They want to grow the asset accumulation of wealth. They may want to have the objective of passing on that wealth as a transfer, but they also may want to lock in a potential income for life that they can't outlive. We can give them that flexibility all in the solution here. So the mechanics I mentioned of the income rider. So the nice thing about AccumulatorPlus and most performing income types of products that you see in the marketplace sort of put all your eggs into that performance, or that potential for performance, and really not much guaranteed income in there. The AccumulatorPlus provides a nice combination of both. So the worst that the income base is going to grow at, the guaranteed minimum is 5% compounding annually for 10 years. And that's the orange or sort of red line that you see going essentially straight up there. But the performance multiplier starts out at 5% after the first year and increases by 5% for every year of deferral before they turn on their income stream, for a maximum of 50% after 10 years. So let's just say, for example, your client is 10 years away from needing to potentially turn on income. So they take out an AccumulatorPlus. After 10 years of deferral, that multiplier is going to be 50%. So we're going to take the account value times 50%, add that together to equal their income base. Another way to do the math on that is by simply saying we're going to take the account value times 150%. So in the example on the screen, we just used a very modest rate of return of 3%. So if the client invested $100,000 with us, their account value after 10 years, with the cost of the rider coming out, would be about $129,786. So even if they hadn't gotten any growth to the account value, the worst that their income base would be at is $162,889. But because of that multiplier, and because they did have some growth to the account value, we're going to take 150% of that $129,786. We're going to come out with an income base of $194,679 that they will be able to, based on their age, take a percentage of that, lock it in for an annual income that they can't outlive. I'll circle back to this and plug in the numbers of what we're able to provide to utilizing the Barclays Trailblazer strategy. And again, I think we'll see the real opportunity to piggyback off of the strong account value growth that we had in Accumulator, but now we're going to tack on an income withdrawal benefit with the AccumulatorPlus. So I mentioned that impairment enhancement or income doubler component. couldn't be more excited about this. I think this is something that really sets us apart in the marketplace when it comes to client friendliness on income withdrawal benefits. So if your client becomes unable to perform 2 of 6 activities of daily living, regardless of whether they go into a nursing home or a confined care situation, or whether they choose to stay at home and get some assisted living, we're going to double their income if they're doing a single payment, and take it times 1.5 if they're doing a joint income payment. So if there was a single payment, as the example on the screen here, let's just say they locked in an annualized payment of $8,100. They become unable to perform those 2 of 6 ADLs. They get a physician's note, they send it in to us, boom, we're going to increase that income to $16,200. Another thing that separates us is we don't have a 5-year rule. So we're not going to say, okay, we'll pay this for 5 years or 10 years or a set period of time, and then we're going to reset it back to the $8,100. No, we're going to say, we're going to keep your payment increased for as long as you have a remaining account value. So with the accumulation potential that we have on the Accelerator Plus, that could be a decent period of time. And should the client still be living, of course, when they exhaust their account value, again, they locked in a payment that they can't outlive. So we're just going to reset back to that original payment in this example of $8,100. Okay, so if we can tack on the accumulation potential that we talked about on Accumulator Plus, utilizing that Barclays strategy. We do that for Accelerator Plus. Our par rate there is 120%. So what would that yield us for Accelerator Plus? So our account value after 10 years of deferral, and this is just an example of a 65-year-old with $100,000, would be $176,761, which equates to an effective annual return of 5.86%. But remember, our income base, we're multiplying off of that. We did 10 years of deferral, so we have a 50% multiplier. Or again, easy math on that is just by taking 150%. So your income base is now $265,142, which would be an annual return of that income base of 10.24%, just under 10.25. It's going to be pretty hard to beat that in my opinion. What does that yield for an income that they can't outlive? $15,909. Again, should they become impaired or unable to perform those 2 of 6 activities of daily living, and it's a single payment, we're going to double that. So good. Accelerator Plus is a good combination of strong accumulation, but also an income withdrawal payment. Lastly, as I mentioned in that third segment of products in the marketplace, that guaranteed segment, a leader for us is the Safe Income Plus, a leading guaranteed income product. Still an important product, still plays a role. Again, from my perspective, I've seen a tremendous amount of shift in the industry to accumulation or accumulation performing type of income products. But you're always going to have clients that have a particular asset that they need to be able to plan to, down to the penny, what they're going to be able to get for an income stream. And we're able to do that with Safe Income Plus. This product is designed to, you give us X amount of premium for X amount of years, we're going to give you back X amount of dollars as a payment that you cannot outlive. Premium bonus on Safe Income Plus is 7%. That goes to both the account value and income base. And then the roll-up is 7% compounded annually for up to 7 years. The nice thing about that roll-up is it's crediting on a daily basis. We'll talk about why that's important here in a minute. With Safe Income Plus, your clients have the flexibility to turn on that income stream at any point during the contract year. They don't have to do it within a small window during their anniversary time. They can do it at whatever point they choose or will make sense for them after the first contract year. We do ask for 1 year of deferral before turning it on. The Safe Income Plus is designed without having age banding when it comes to payout percentages. I think it's pretty typical for your income rider type of products to have either a 5 or 10-year bracket when it comes to payout percentages. But with the Safe Income Plus, every year that they defer, their payout percentage is going to increase. We also have that same impairment enhancement or income doubler on Safe Income Plus. One really nice thing about utilizing guaranteed products is that you don't have to, because it's all guaranteed, you don't have to worry about historical performance and back testing and all of that. So rather than a 20 to 25 page illustration to have all your disclosures and things talking about how the strategy was implemented based on historical and past performance, with a guaranteed type of product, you have a very simple way of presenting that to the client. You can say, here is what we're doing. Here's our asset that we're working from. In this case, we have a calculator actually that we customized to be able to use for Safe Income Plus. Very simple input. You can customize it for your client. Product name is Safe Income Plus. Initial premium in this example, $500,000. Let's just say we're working with a 60-year-old getting close to retirement, wanting to take the risk off the table, but does need a strong, planning for income. And again, we'll use 10 years of deferral for our example. So again, a very simple output here. We are able to tell, because it's all guaranteed, we can tell the client down to the penny here exactly how their income base is going to grow. You can see there how the withdrawal percentage increases every year of deferral, and that yields to an annual payment that increases, as well as that enhanced payment doubling off of that. Now, I will say here, there's 20 years on the screen. I mentioned that 7% compounding annually is a 10-year guaranteed. So after the first 10 years, they will have the opportunity to restart. So if for some reason the client is deferring for longer than 10 years, they will be eligible for a restart of that roll-up at a rate declared at that time. So that rate could be, again, the 7% that they initially took out, or it could be contractually, the minimum there is 2%. So again, because we're showing everything guaranteed, we show both. We say, hey, here's what that 7% will look like for 20 years, or here's what that 7% will look like for 10 years. And then let's say worst case scenario, the next 10 years, the client would get a roll-up rate of 2. We show them both. It's very nice about guaranteed products, very transparent. Okay, so I mentioned the power of daily crediting with that roll-up rate of 7%. Why is that important to your client? Well, it's very, very rare for clients to actually turn on their income withdrawal benefit on anniversary. So when you look at the payout, every month that the client continues to defer, because it's daily crediting, that income base is going to grow, and therefore their income payment would grow. So it's pretty common in the guaranteed income space, because it's all guaranteed. It's pretty easy to spreadsheet out, what are carriers offering for bonuses and roll-ups and payout percentages. But one thing I think is important to be cognizant of is, and to take into consideration when you're evaluating, whether it makes sense to go with F&G Safe Income Plus or maybe a competitor's product. Again, if you know ahead of time that your client's going to be deferring for a period of time and maybe a few months, I just took an example here of a 65-year-old deferring. If you just simply spreadsheeted this out, our income might be slightly less at $97.94 in comparison to a peer of ours at $98.61. But let's say we knew ahead of time that our client was going to be deferring for that period of time, 7 years and 6 months. Well, now you look at the income payment at 6 months, our income is going to be $10,131 versus our peers that may be still locked in at that $98.61. So again, I always just like to point out that power. I think it's important to take into consideration when you're working on those guaranteed income types of products. So as a recap for the portfolio, Client Solutions, you may be working on accumulation only. We have that AccumulatorPlus. We may want to have accumulation and income. We talked about that AccumulatorPlus, or we may be looking at providing a guaranteed type of income, and we talked about that Safe Income Plus product. Now, as I mentioned, in my first three things, or the top three F&G storylines, how we have a couple of programs that we've implemented to reward and partner with our producers. And one of those programs is our deferred compensation program, or power producer program. This is a way for F&G to give back to our advisors. You know, many advisors that I talk with on a daily basis are working, grinding with their clients, helping them plan out their retirements. And we feel like it should be important for them to partner with an insurance partner that helps them and partners with them on their retirement. So we developed our Power Producer Program, Deferred Compensation Program, for those producers that can partner with us and do $1.75 million of indexed annuity production would qualify for a credit in our Power Producer Program. That credit can range between $3,000 and $5,000, determined at the end of the year here. But historically has ranged, you can see there, from 2013 to 18, it's ranged from $3,750 to upwards of $4,000. What's really important to understand about the deferred compensation program that we offer is it also allows you to continue to get paid on business that you wrote years ago. So for an example, we had an advisor, let's just say they do the minimum, the 1.75 to qualify for one credit. Back in 2013, that credit would be worth $3,750. Most advisors that I'm talking with on a daily basis, that does not really get them moving, doesn't really do a whole lot for them, and that's fine. But here's where the power of the program comes into play. You actually get paid on that business residually for as long as it stays on the books. Because all of you on the line write good quality business, that will be the case. So in, let's say 2013, one credit, $3,750 drops into the account. In 2014, second year qualifying, we find a place for F&G's products, another 1.75. So the same amount of work, but now our deposit is $3,750. But again, you get repaid on the past year's business because you continued to partner with us. And so your total deposit in 2014 would be $7,500. That starts to get advisors that I talk with moving a little bit. But it's really in 3, 4, and years going forward, you can see how it just continues to grow exponentially. So in this 6th year of partnering with us and continuing to find a place for our solutions in the practice, advisor does the same amount of work. 2018, that credit was worth $3,750, you can see there. But because we continued to pay them for the subsequent years of partnering with us, that deposit's $23,000. Total contributions in 6 years for a minimum of 1.75 every year, $80,000 that F&G would put into this advisor's retirement account. Now, that was an example of minimums. You also are eligible to go above and beyond and earn multiple credits into that program. We have a customizable calculator that can be used, and Brad and the team have access to this calculator to be able to help you say, hey, I'm doing $5 million a year of indexed annuity solutions, and I feel like I could maybe carve out, in this example, let's just say $3,500,000 of that production and utilize the AccumulatorPlus and the AccumulatorPlus and be a good partner with F&G. Well, that would qualify for 2 credits. So, you know, the flyer just does a minimum of 1 credit to be able to help you plan and project what the deferred compensation program could mean to you and your retirement. Again, we created this calculator. So an example of a producer doing $3,500,000 with us at a modest rate of return over that time frame of 4%. We just projected out the credit value at $4,000. After a 10-year time frame, this advisor would have just under $500,000 into their retirement account. So again, a way that we can separate ourselves and a way to partner with you and give back and contribute to your retirement account. We also have a Power Producer Conference. So for $3.5 million of indexed annuity premium, and this is a calendar year qualification period, so January 1 to December 31st. We're going to be taking everyone that does $3.5 million with us or more to the Four Seasons property in Costa Rica, the Pensacola Papagayo. And again, as a way for not only you to be rewarded by us, obviously it'll be a relaxing time for you, but also you're able to get together with all of the top F&G producers rub elbows. Last year, for example, we were in Punta Minta, Mexico. Advisors sharing ideas, best practices, learning and growing from each other. It's just a phenomenal event. Obviously, the weather won't be too bad either. So again, just a couple of things that F&G does to go above and beyond to reward people for their production. So I appreciate everyone taking the time with me. I will, open it maybe back over to you, or throw it back over to you, Brad. If people have submitted questions, I think we have a little bit of time here. We can still run through those.
You bet. Thank you very much, Adam. That was a great presentation, a great insight on F&G, and not only the products that they have, the great accumulation and income vehicles that they have available to help your clients and to help you grow your business, but in the back end, we see the rewards that and their commitment to doing business with you out there as well. So I don't currently see any questions in the question queue. So if anybody does have any questions, if you could type those in real quick, that would be great, and we could certainly answer those questions. If you don't have any questions now, but if you think of something coming up here that comes across your mind, I'm sure each of you probably had some clients in mind as Adam was going through his presentation where this product could certainly fit and help them out and help grow your business as well. You can always reach out to our office, and you can reach out to either Shad or Shay at our premier office here in Norfolk. So, Adam, I still don't see any additional questions at the moment, so give me just a second here. Whoa, I do have one that just came in. So does no cap mean unlimited potential growth? If you want to touch on that, Adam.
Yeah, great question. Appreciate the submission there. So yes, the no cap, no spread does allow for unlimited growth or upside potential for the client. So as opposed to a cap or spread strategy, we're able to offer the uncapped opportunity with the 100% or greater participation in the growth of that Barclays index. So great question, yes.
I don't see any other additional questions at the time. So we, again, just like to thank everybody for taking their time to attend today's call. Thank you, Adam, for participating. And give us a call if there's anything we can do. And that concludes today's call. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, everyone.